everyone. How are you? I hope everyone is okay. Welcome back to the second series on my channel, American Cultural Myths. So, as before I stated, I separated my channel into four sessions, and this is the second one. In this series, I want to talk about some of the ideas that shaped not only American culture, but also the way people around the world imagine success, freedom, happiness, and identity. And today, I want to begin with one of the biggest and most influential ideas of all, the American dream. Actually, this topic became even more personal for me recently because I also explored it in the first Turkish book chapter I wrote, where I focused on like decay, desire, and modernity within the American dream. So, in this episode, I want to think out loud a little bit and ask a very simple question. Does the American dream still exist today? And if it does, what kind of dream is it now? I think for many people around the world, America still represents possibility, right? The possibility of reaching things more easily, buying a house, buying a car, accessing opportunities, shopping freely, building a financially comfortable life. And honestly, when we think materially, this dream still has power. Even people who criticize America sometimes continue to desire the lifestyle associated with it. And I think this is important to admit openly. Because cultural myths survive not only through ideology, but also through desire. People continue believing in dreams that emotionally attract them. But at the same time, I think the meaning of the American dream has changed over time. And one of the writers who understood this transformation incredibly well was Fitzgerald in The Great Gatsby. When I first read The Great Gatsby, what affected me most was not only the love story or the atmosphere of luxury, it was the emptiness underneath everything. Fitzgerald shows us a society divided into classes, even when everyone appears wealthy from the outside. In the novel, we see a very important distinction: people born into wealth and the people who later become wealthy through ambition, performance, or even illegal ways. And this difference shapes everything: taste, behavior, speech, relationships, even the way people look at each other. Gatsby has money, but he still cannot fully belong. And I think that is one of the most tragic parts of the novel. Because the American dream promises mobility, it says you can become whoever you want. But Fitzgerald asks another question. Even if you become rich, will society truly accept you? Will you belong emotionally, culturally, socially? And Gatsby constantly tries to prove himself through performance. The huge house, the parties, the clothes, the display of wealth. Especially in his relationship with Daisy, we see how money almost becomes a language. He tries to impress her through material visibility, and this is why the novel still feels modern today. Because sometimes modern society also teaches us to perform success instead of truly living it. To look successful, to look happy, to look accomplished. And social media intensified this even more. Today, the American dream is no longer only about survival or opportunity. It is also about image, about visibility, about lifestyle, about creating a version of yourself that others admire. But this creates another question, of course. If identity becomes performance, Where does authenticity remain? And I think this is why the Great Gatsby still matters. Because beneath all the glamour, Fitzgerald was writing about loneliness, about longing, about emotional emptiness hidden behind material success. Of course, when discussing these ideas, I personally prefer approaching them culturally and historically rather than politically. Politics is not my field, and my goal here is not to tell people what to think politically. What interests me more is how cultural ideas shape human psychology, imagination, and social behavior. Why do certain dreams survive for generations? Why do people continue chasing certain lifestyles even when they know those lifestyles may not bring happiness? And maybe the American dream survives because it is not only about America anymore. It became symbolic. It became connected to modernity itself, to consumption, to mobility, to self creation. But maybe today we also need to ask, what are we sacrificing while chasing success? Community, peace, authenticity, meaning. And maybe the most important question is not can we achieve the dream, but rather what kind of life do we actually want? For me, literature becomes powerful exactly at this point because novels like The Great Gatsby do not simply entertain us. They force us to confront uncomfortable questions about desire, class, illusion, and identity. And I think that is why these texts continue to stay alive across generations. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy in this episode and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.